Good day. My name is Professor Anthony Revicchio with Revicchio Online Tax Advisors, also founder of the Financial Advisors Group. Welcome to our video cast, How to Understand Your Rental Income and Your Rental Expenses. And yes, I'm pulling my hair out today because in my office today we're handling what I call tax resolution cases. If you're familiar with tax resolution cases, for lack of a better word, that's when you're negotiating bad debt with either the IRS or your state government. Won't go there, but that's why I got my hair out today. So welcome. Let's talk about rental income and rental expenses for a few minutes. I am going to try to take a 1-hour lecture and turn it into 10 minutes. So please grab a pen because these 10 minutes will be very important. So, are you a person that rents out property to someone, a room, an apartment, maybe something bigger? Well, then you're an ad hoc landlord, right? So, let's talk about you being an ad hoc landlord in regards to the IRS. Does the IRS care? Absolutely. Should you care? Even more so. The IRS says anyone can be a landlord, an ad hoc landlord, but of course some things procedurally have to be done. We'll go over some of those procedures, ad hoc procedures, in a moment. But let's talk about some of the qualifications that one has to look at being a landlord. And forgive me while I look at my notes from time to time. The key phrase here is ordinary and necessary when we talk about rental expenses. Ordinary and necessary. What are those expenses that are ordinary and necessary that you can deduct? And when I say deduct, let me also be very clear of why rental expenses are very important. General individual deductions, whether it's gifts to charity, medical expenses, things of that nature, we're allowed to deduct those, but we only get your tax bracket deductibility. So if I'm in a 30% tax bracket, 40% tax bracket, that's my deduction. For every dollar I spend in those areas I just mentioned, I get 30, 40 cents to the dollar back. But with rental expenses, for every dollar I spend on the property, I get that $1 back. So we call that a dollar for dollar deduction. Very important. But before we go over expenses, let's talk about the paperwork that has to follow. It's a one-page form that has to accompany your income tax return. We call that a Schedule E. And a Schedule E has to do with income and expenses, right? Income and expenses gives us either net profit or net loss. I hope you're writing this down. Or, of course, you can listen to this videotape another time. Let's talk about income, though, very first. So when you look at your Schedule C, you're going to see two parts, right? Part one is income, part two is expenses. Part one, income. Well, it's income, right? So whatever someone is paying you monthly, well, on an annual basis, you have to put that number down. Tip. You're an ad hoc landlord. You're receiving rental income. If I was of that nature, I would have a lease, right? And of course, anyone can pick up a lease in a stationery store, a simple blank lease. You just fill in the blanks. Today you can find it online. Today you can even call us, but that's another story. But tip of the week, I would say for every dollar of income you put down, you want to be sure you have a general tenant landlord lease of that nature. So now let's talk about rental expenses. When we talk about rental expenses, there are what I would consider to be 11 of them that are the most important. If I go over all 11, that alone will keep you here for an hour. So obviously we're not staying that long. But I'll try to fill in some of the blanks as we go forward. So again, grab a pen. First item, advertising. Well, you're a landlord, right? So in 2025 advertising terms, what does that mean? That means anything. That means an advertisement in the newspaper. That could mean someone handing out flyers. That could mean you putting up a banner ad on the internet. Any promotion and advertising costs. Number 2, cleaning. And when I talk about cleaning, I won't go into the specifics of that, meaning detergent, etc. But whatever cleaning products that you need, as well as supply products that you need, would go under cleaning. Third item, insurance. What type of insurance am I talking about? Not medical insurance, right? I'm talking about home insurance. You're a landlord. You should have home insurance. If you don't have any, feel free to call me later. Another story. Next item, professional fees. If you're an ad hoc landlord, I hope you have either a good bookkeeper or an accountant, a financial advisor, a lawyer, an income tax advisor, hello, any professional that you have, and that also includes banking, by the way. Any professional that you have helping you that costs professional fees, those fees are tax deductible. Licenses and permits, right? Well, that's pretty much self-explanatory, but again, you want to keep track of those things. A moment ago, I said supplies. I'm now going to take this a step further. Home repair, right? God forbid you got to fix the walls. God forbid you got to fix the floors. God forbid you got to fix the roof, right? Home repair. Real estate taxes. You own the home, you're handing out property, well, don't forget your real estate taxes, right? Utilities. In today's world, utilities are, yes, gas and electric, but of course, in today's world, they're a lot more than gas and electric, right? We don't want to forget the cable, which is now part of utilities. We don't want to forget the internet, which is now part of utilities. We don't want to forget the telephone, right? Which is also part of utilities. And you may or may not know this, but today's water bill also falls under utilities. Wages. You don't think you have wages, huh? Sure you got wages, right? Maybe you got someone helping you out, cleaning the lawn, and you're paying them a little something, right? Well, that's a cost. That's an expense. That's labor. Don't do it off the books. Put it on the books, right? That person I mentioned earlier handing out flyers, right? Okay, you get them to do it for free, God bless you. But if you're paying them, I would put it on the books because that's tax deductible. Last item, and probably one of the most important, depreciation, right? What do I mean by depreciation? Well, this is just an example. I'm banging on my desk in my office, right? But let's pretend it's a home, right? I'm banging on furniture. That furniture maybe cost me $10,000, right? The life of that furniture might be 10 years, right? So if it's 10 years at a cost of $10,000, that means I can depreciate $1,000 of it every year for the next 10 years. No, I'm sorry, 10,000. I'm sorry, what? Forgive me, I also need coffee because it's tax resolution day. But in essence, depreciation, go over that again. As an example, if a piece of furniture costs you $10,000, the life of that furniture, that's very important. The life of the property, right, that you are depreciating. So if it's a $10,000 piece of furniture, 10-year expected life expectancy on it, well, that's an automatic $1,000 depreciation deduction every year for the next 10 years. You can expand the lifestyle, but then again, I would strongly recommend that you talk to a professional in that regard. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I didn't keep us that long, but that is a summary of what I call how to understand your rental income and your rental expenses. Yes, I covered some of those areas in detail, some I did not because I didn't want to be here for an hour. But I will tell you what, I love taking phone calls. So if there's any question on this video or any question at all that you have in regards to income tax preparation, income tax planning, or even income tax resolution, God forbid you owe any money on debt, feel free to give me a call, 347-575-5045. Be tax smart and have a good day.